are straight ahead on Hardcore Football.
Toledo Hardcore Football is brought to you by Groganstown, Chrysler Jeep Dodge, Little Caesars Pizza, and Central Catholic High School. Now, here's Howard Chen with all of tonight's action.
And welcome into the third week of Hardcore Football, where teams start to separate themselves before league play. Mike Thompson's our main man at our Jim White Honda Game of the Week, busy dissecting if Southview is indeed for real. So, Mikey, tell me, are they for real?
Well, Howard, by the end of the highlights, we'll let you know, but this was definitely not the sexiest game on the schedule. But by the end of the night, we may have had the best game played in the area. So let's get right to it. In Sylvania, for the Southview Cougars and the Start Spartans, heading at it, hitting it up at Cat Stadium right here in Northview's High School. So early on, Cougars, they're fired up. Start 0-2 to start the season. Thinking upset tonight. We're going to start things off with some hard hitting in the first half. Alan Gant, and then a host of Cougars on the play. So we'll get you going into the game. Right now it's 14-7 in the third quarter. Fourth down. Denard Pickney to J.D. Bowers. Well, he got the first down. Then Bowers gets the touchdown to make it 20-7. So then later in the fourth, we move to the fourth, it's still 20-7. Start a big play, 95-yard touchdown pass from Tyler Ritter to Chris Black. He had 2 TDs. Black had 3 catches, 158 yards. So it's a 20-14 game because Southview missed the PAT earlier. So in the fourth, Southview fumbles. Brian Lee for Start picks it up, and that puts the Spartans in excellent field position. 2.5 minutes to go in the game. Fourth down for Start. Ritter looking for open field. Can't get the first down, just short. So Southview avoids an upset on their own turf, and they win 20-14.
You saw what I call our team, a championship team, rise to the occasion on defense. They played better on that last drive than they had played the whole game because they believe they're going to win.
Honestly, I could say I was scared. Championship teams don't fumble the ball. We won't do that again. I was real worried, but I was confident in our defense.
We always tell them in practice, if you see green grass, take it. But once again, when you're dealing with Southview with the speed on the field, 10 yards looks like 10 yards of green grass, but by the time he started clearing the line of scrimmage, it turned into 5, and we didn't make the first down.
Yeah, had Start gotten that first down, who knows if they had scored, we could have had one of the biggest upsets definitely of this early season in the bag. But Southview pulls it out. They win 20-14. Week 3, they're 3-0. Start, tough one to begin the season at 0-3, but plenty of good games left on the rest of the year. But for now, in Southview, for the Jim White Honda Game of the Week, I'm Mike Thompson. Howie, who do we got for next week?
Well, I'll tell you, Mikey, because, guess what? It is time to get into league play next week, which means it's time for some rivalries, and it's also time to vote for our Jim White Honda Game of the Week. Just click on foxtoledo.com. Winners announced on Wednesday night. Okay, we're going to go to Wayton Perrysburg. The theme of City League against NLL. And the Jackets were pumped up running out of the tunnel, but they hurt themselves a lot. This was not supposed to be a close game, but 4 first-half turnovers, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and it's still scoreless until a minute left to go in the first half, and Perrysburg finally gets on the board. Matt Slocum to Steve Slocum. Where's Heathcliff Slocum, right? 7-0 Keyburg. They go on to win 31-0. Meanwhile, Whitmer hosting Fostoria. Panthers trying to bounce back from a tough loss last week, but without Kenny Hayes. Suffered a concussion earlier this week, but he's smiling, so he looks okay. Jody Webb, he's made the highlights quite a bit this season. Had 95 yards rushing today. Looked pretty good on that TD, too. Makes it 7-0 Whitmer. Still in the first quarter, Fostoria punts it to the wrong guy. Yeah, Alonzo Lucas, this guy's talented. 50 yards to the house, and Whitmer, they win this one big. Final score, 69-0. And this is only the beginning of more hardcore highlights on Hardcore Football. Welcome back to Hardcore Football. Northview and Rogers, more NLL City League bragging rights, but no Pee Wee Gambrell. Possible torn meniscus suffered last week. First quarter of action, Addison Hirschfeld from 2 yards away. Northview, the 21-0 lead. Second half, different story, though. Rams get the touchdown. Marquis Snyder, Damon Powell. But the two-point conversion fails. Rogers down 1 point. Final minute comes down to this, 4th and 8. And Snyder's pass falling incomplete. Northview hangs on for the 1-point win, 21-20. Well, this isn't the Jim White Honda game of the week, but it's worthy of it. Fremont Ross unbeaten and coming off a big win over Whitmer. Columbians a solid team with incredible tradition. Put the two together, and you better believe it, you have a good game. Columbian fans, they know it too. All dressed up for the part, ironically. Yeah, dressed up, right? No shirt, but they got the paint going. That's pretty good stuff. Last play, first quarter, Ryan Tittle to Jesse Hernandez. 66 yards, eventually gets taken down at the 5-yard line. Tornadoes would score in the next play to make it 12-7. They lead it. More TC through the air, same combination. Tittle, Hernandez, this time down to the 1. Tittle would sneak it in from there. Columbian with a big win over previously unbeaten Fremont Ross, 40-21. So from Tiffin Columbian to Tiffin Calvert, playing against Woodmore and Woodmore coaches, just like any other football coaches. Intense. Second quarter, Daniel Kuwait. Yeah, just like he has plenty of oil in the tank. 33 yards for the touchdown for Calvert, 21-7. They lead it later in the second. Jake Zollinger for Woodmore. He's going to get the rock, and he's going to take it in from 17 yards away for the score. Final, Woodmore wins it 35-28. Moving on, Eastwood, Oak Harbor, both with 1-1 records, so you know this is going to be a good game too, right? Cheerleaders say yes. They believe it too. Pick it up, second quarter. Jake Scott, we showed a highlight of him earlier this year down the sideline. This time equally untouched, but right up the middle. Touchdown O to the H, 14-7. They lead. A nice celebration, a love tap on the helmet. Then the third quarter, it's Scott again. This time again up the middle. Gets touched up a little bit more, but he's still not going down. Still a score, 21-7. Oak Harbor wins 34-7. As for Lake High School, coming off an emotional first game on their rebuilt home field, it's back to the road at Rossford. Coach Todd Drew's back trying to change the ways over there, trying to end the losing skid that they have. Third quarter, Tim Lohman for Lake. Tough running, runs it in for the score, 29-13 for the Flyers. Rossford trying to cut it down to a one possession. Ben Schwartz will not let that happen. Kurt McGee would score on the ensuing drive, and Lake wins 43-19. Another attack team, Toledo Christian, played their ball at Central tonight against Fort Laramie, and Graham Miller, early second quarter from 13 yards away, 14-7, T to the C. But we want to focus defensively on this guy right here, Zach Brumbaugh, chasing down the receiver from behind and chopping the ball loose, stripping it in one fell swoop. TC possession. 7 minutes after that, Brumbaugh again, this time with a one-handed pick. Yeah, talk about play of the week worthy. Sets up another Miller score. 21-7 at the half. TC wins 28-7. Well, we're stepping aside right now, but you won't want to miss the next segment, which I might as well entitle, Get Ready for Tears. It's that good. And it's next on Hardcore Football. Last weekend, the loudest cheers of the big house before Michigan played UConn were for Brock Mealer, the brother of current Wolverine lineman and former Wauseon star Elliott Mealer. Joe Rognoski has the inspirational story of a young man who has overcome unbelievable odds on the way to an unbelievable moment, leading Michigan onto the football field.
But I did see the car coming from behind an evergreen tree to the left, and all I had time to say, it was this fast, I just said, hit me, because I didn't want anyone to get hurt. And then your lights just go out when you hear the bang, and it got dark.
It is a haunting and chilling memory that Shelley Mealer can never forget. Flashback, Christmas Eve 2007. A tragic car accident took her husband Dave and family friend Hollis Reeker and left son Brock paralyzed from the waist down.
He told me once he was glad it was him in the front seat and not me.
It's terrible to say. But Brock was determined to take this terrible tragedy and turn it into something more. Doctors gave him less than a 1% chance to ever walk.
Did you ever think he'd walk again, honestly?
I did. I knew that he would. It was a gut feeling that I had.
And so on a Saturday afternoon in Ann Arbor, Michigan, Brock Mealer, with his family at his side, got out of his chair and led the Wolverines onto the field.
Brother Shelley and brothers Elliott and Blake, please welcome Brock this last week, I've just been realizing more and more, and I keep thinking, I've been through this terrible nightmare, but last week it was just a dream, and I wake up and say, wow, this actually happened. We actually did it, and it was just surreal.
Brock Mealer could have given up on his dream and let the seemingly overwhelming odds play out, but he did not. You see, Brock never settled for what others told him was possible. He strived for and achieved the impossible. So hail to the victor. At the Big House with the Mealers, Joe Wignowski, Hardcore Football.
Wow. That's all I need to say about that story. More bright spots in Northwest Ohio include all the talent that's getting recruited for the next level. We take a look at Start High School's Deontay Rozier in this week's Hardcore Recruiting Minute. Start's Deontay Rozier has his priorities straight. He needs to get his grades up.
It's a real motivation, but with the grades, if I don't play the grades, I can't play football. So I love football so much, so that's what keeps me motivated.
If he stays motivated, the sky's the limit for Deontay.
My top 5, I want to visit Cincinnati, Ohio University, Illinois. I want to visit Purdue and Vanderbilt.
The biggest thing he has is a motor. Everybody talks about defensive players if they have the motor, and he has a motor on defense.
And it's not just on defense. Deontay carries the rock as a tailback.
I'm not the real shifty one, like I'll make one cut, but if you're in my way, you got to move.
When he wants to run the ball, there's a lot of guys, it takes several guys to bring him down.
And if he keeps his grades up, Deontay expects to decide his future destination in the second half of the season. So our recruiting talk's done, but up next, we have Hardcore Hits. Stay tuned for more Hardcore Football. Welcome back to Hardcore Football. Northwood, Hopewell, Loudon. This was a good matchup, too. Late third quarter, H to the L up 10-6 off the punt. And Northwood's John Ronstadt, no relation to Linda Ronstadt, returns it all the way to the 4-yard line. That's good stuff. Same drive, Northwood's QB, Eric Russell, he keeps the ball, runs it in from 6 yards away, but Hopewell Loudon gets the win, 18-12. Full scores, schedules, and highlights, if you missed them, are all at foxtoledo.com later tonight as we say goodbye from here, but hello to some Hardcore Hits, so see ya.
With his mother Shelley and brothers Elliott and Blake, please welcome Brock